It's officially holiday shopping season, so the Air Jordan releases have been ramping up rapidly, and these are one of the next releases. That was such a nice, smooth flip. I love it when that happens. But we have the return of the Shadow Air Jordan 10s. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and breakdown on these bad boys right here. This is the Air Jordan 10 Shadow, an original colorway from 1994. Before we go over all the little history tidbits, this is the box that they come in. Same exact box as the Steels with the toe cap that released earlier this year. This is actually not the original box that the shoes originally came in. That would actually be, this one's got the shoes in it still, so it's kind of heavy, but that would be this box right here. So this is what the 10s originally came in, but the box was like half the size because they came in really narrow, weird boxes, almost like a running shoe. It's kind of strange. But what this box is a recreation of the 1994 retro line, which was the first of its kind, like ever. Like that was when MJ retired for the first time, and Nike was not sure if he was, actually done or not. So from what they knew, the dude was done, and so tribute stuff was starting to come out. So that's what this shoe is kind of all about, and that's what the 1994 retro line was all about, which did include the Air Jordan 1, 2, and 3. If you did happen to want to know a little bit more about this packaging, I talked about it in detail or more in depth in the steel with the toe cap Air Jordan 10 video that we did do earlier. So if you wanted to check that out, go for it. But as far as this particular release goes, this is only the 4th time that these have actually released. So it's kind of interesting. The original was way back in 1994. And what's even more interesting, at least to me, is that the Shadow colorway made its debut all the way back in 1985 with the original Air Jordan, aka the Air Jordan 1. They released a Shadow colorway, which was the black and grays. I don't know how popular they were back then, but they're pretty popular nowadays. And then we would not see a Shadow rendition of an Air Jordan until 1994 with these guys right here. So it was like a colorway that was used and then shelved right off the jump. Unlike, say, the black and red or the Chicago/white and red theme. So yeah, just a cool little thought, I suppose. Or actually it was the Jordan 9. They weren't called Shadows though. They were the charcoals. You know what I mean? Because that's where, when you get into the colors, in my head, something like the Black Cement 3 and 4 are kind of like this, even though they're not. Like they do have a little bit more white on them and everything. By a little bit, I like just a little bit. It's just on the midsoles. But technically, like it's the same kind of colors, you know what I'm saying? Even though on the box label here, this says it's like charred gray, which I don't know if that is used on the charcoal Air Jordan 9s or if they do use the actual color code of charcoal gray. But now I'm getting too nerdy, so we're gonna move on. But either way, the Shadow name, originally on the Air Jordan 1, then again on the Air Jordan 10. Now, like I was saying before, the shoe originally released in 1994. This actually was the actual shoe to release because of a change order that was made with the Air Jordan 10 steel colorway. So when we go back and look at something like the East Bay magazines, which unfortunately no longer exist, you could see 2 colorways were supposed to launch with the actual toe cap in place, only one of which did. The steel 10s made their way out there. Some stores were told to return their pairs. Obviously, there was a lot of them that were already sold, so some people just ended up with that shoe. But the Shadows never actually released with the toe caps. Instead, they ended up releasing without it. So these actually were hit with the change order mid-run, and they were able to like fairly quickly, all things considered. It's just that the shoes didn't release side by side or anything like that. Would it have been cool to have released the Shadow 10s with the original toe cap in 2025? I'm not sure. I don't think that that's the best look for the shoe, personally. I think the steels look a little bit better with the toe cap just because it's almost hidden, but it really sticks out on the Shadows because it's black and it contrasts against the gray. Looks a little funny to me. But either way, 1994 OG pair. They would not see a retro release until 2008, and that was within the Air Jordan Countdown packs. They came packaged with the Air Jordan 13 in what is now known as the He Got Game colorway, otherwise known as the launch colorway, or the white black with a little bit of red and that weird green on the bottom. That release was really interesting because they actually put the PE branding on the side, which has been missing from every release since. The last release was back in 2018, and that was kind of like, in my opinion at least, the best version of the shoe besides the original. It was the one closest to the original with the nicest materials and all the little fine details that were as close to the original as possible. Fast forward to today, 2025, we've got the shoe back. They did make some changes on these, some of which some people might like, some of which people might not. Starting off with the outsole, this is where the main tribute comes comes in, this is all of Jordan's accolades up until his point of retirement. So you could see that they started off all the way back in 1985 at the beginning of his professional career as the NBA Rookie of the Year. They go all the way through until the retirement date of 1994, where it just says beyond, because they weren't sure what was coming next. Obviously, we know now, and man, what a story that is.
It's beautiful.
Now the traction is a little funny looking because it's not like herringbone or wave bone or any weird pattern that you can think of. Instead, it's just a linear line. It actually isn't too bad, especially linearly. So if you play like a north to south game, these are actually quite good. Outdoors, they're also pretty good too. The Air Jordan 10 is actually one of my favorite Air Jordan retro models to play in. We do have a performance review of the 10s on the channel. Moving on up, we've got a Phylon midsole, and I believe this was the first model to feature the Phylon that they then primarily used moving forward. Now, inside of that Phylon midsole is a full-length air sole unit, and while I don't believe that this is the same exact unit, I think that it's slightly different. When you look at something like, say, the insides of the Air Jordan 11, same stuff. So yeah, if you wanted a visual, there you go. Now the materials on this particular release are where I feel like the previous retro might be a little bit better. I will say that these are a lot better in hand than they look online. Like all the online images that I've seen of the shoe, I was just kind of like unimpressed. I was like, man, it looks like they completely downgraded from the previous retro. In hand, it doesn't feel quite that extreme, even though they don't feel as nice as the last one, but it's pretty close. So I think that's where a lot of people, like if you've had both of them, are gonna like kind of vary on the opinions. Like some people might prefer this look, some people might prefer the other look. But basically what we've got is very minimal leather paneling. So we've got the sidewall right here, and that's for lateral support and containment. It is on both the medial and lateral side, same function. And then the rest of the leather can be found along the eye stay area. The rest of the body though is a really shortcut nubuck, and that's the material that I feel like, to me, it's not worse quality, it just felt better in the 2018 one where it almost felt like a suede, you know what I mean, even though it wasn't. It was just a slightly longer haired nubuck, so when you touched it, it like really changed colors and all of that stuff. So to me, it just felt and looked like a little bit more of a higher quality material than something like this. This almost looks like it could be oiled, even though it's not, but like eventually once you like beat these up, they'll look kind of like that. Now speaking of the eye stay, you do have the speed lace loop system. It is nylon, so it doesn't work quite as well as the speed lace system that was featured in the previous model, the Air Jordan 9. And then you do have the bungee tongue system, which I personally like. I think that that's really cool. The Air Jordan 23 stamped on the tongue always looks great. The checkered print is a little bit different than the originals. I feel like the originals just kind of like stood out a little bit more, whereas this one's a little bit more muted. And then the rear of the shoe is one of the main differences between this release and the last, where the two Jumpmen are actually facing towards each other, which did happen in some original runs of the Air Jordan 10. It really depended on the factory, but most of them did feature both Jumpmans facing left.
The horror.
So yeah, that's something that they did on the 2018s where they made them both face left, and this one, they're both facing each other. It's interesting. Like the history of Jordan Brand and why they do what they do with every release, whether it's a retro or an original, is something that someone could write a book about. Like, it's crazy. Actually, I think they just did. Before I forget, this is the insole. It's a white Dream Cell insole. It does have an original style top liner. I think that this insole with this particular shoe is just fine, mostly because the shoe has adequate cushion already. So that full length air unit being top loaded with the Phylon midsole, I mean, for a retro, especially in the 90s, this is a solid release. Now in terms of fit, they do fit true to size. Whatever you typically wear, that is what I would recommend. I feel like these fit more true to size than the Steels did. Those for some reason felt really big to me, so I went down half a size. These fit true to size, so that's what I went with. If you're local to the Sacramento or Elk Grove area, don't forget to hit up Phenom for all of your Jordan releases. They're gonna have these along with a bunch of others. Reviews on those coming soon. Now, with all of that being said, what is today's viewer submitted question of the day?
Do you collect NBA cards? If so, who is your personal collection, as in player?
I used to collect NBA cards. I do not collect much cards anymore, but I have a few like Kobe cards that were gifted to me. I still have a few Jordan cards. Growing up when I did collect them, Jordan was the guy. So like, it wasn't that I was specifically after Jordan cards. I do remember buying a Jordan card set where like the whole set was all Jordans. So yeah, so like that was really cool, but I would always just kind of like when I pulled characters, or not characters, players that I really enjoyed, whether it was like Iverson or Pippen or whatever, you know what I mean? So I just like that. I do have cards in a collection in a binder, but they are comic book cards. So
Which is, I thought it was funny that you slipped saying characters. I was like, that's what you collect.
yeah, so that's what's in my mind is like the cards that I collect. And I say collect like very loosely, only because I don't have a lot of the sets. It's more of like a recent thing because I have so many of the action figures that like, it's like I can't buy anymore because like I have them all, you know what I mean? So like I don't have many vintage figures to collect to put in my, you know, like add pieces to my collection because like I have damn near everything. So yeah, so I bought like some of the old Marvel cards and that's it. And I got like a full set. A couple of them I don't have all the sets because I'm missing some stuff. But what about you guys? Do you currently collect cards? And I'm gonna open it up to more than just the NBA stuff. But if you do currently collect cards, what are they? I know cards are like a newer re-emergence phenomenon, like the card scene.
Resurgence?
Yeah, a resurgence. Like the card thing is like I don't know. Y'all are crazy. You guys are weirder than us with the shoes. You know what I mean? Like I see the lines outside of Target and like the money that those things go for is wild. So yeah, do you? I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just saying like as an outsider looking at you guys, I think that like that's crazy. But if you do collect cards, sound off below, let us know what they are. On top of all of that, what do you think about the 2025 version of the Air Jordan 10 Shadow? Did you want the toe cap? Did you not? Do you think this is better than 2018 release? Do you not? I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one.